All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our fourth episode of the Pizza Hotline podcast. I just want to welcome you as the viewers, or even if you're a business owner. So there's so many things that we've been talking about lately. In our past episode, we just actually talked about just having a consistent customer experience and what that kind of entails and how to tackle certain things, and even the perspectives of personally being a customer myself and how my feedback is actually important, and that my voice can actually be heard to these business owners, and that it's like very essential. And so just before going into the actual podcast itself, I did have a question. It's almost like a question of the day segment. So I wanted to ask, what's your favorite sport to watch? What do you like to watch?
Me? Mine's basketball.
Basketball.
Oh, NBA.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Straight
it.
on.
I've gotten hooked.
Yeah.
My youngest son plays, and I guess a couple of years of that, and we've gone out to a couple NBA games, and they're so exciting.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, basketball's it is exciting to watch. My sport's definitely soccer though.
Mm-hmm.
I love
He loves Roma.
Oh yeah. Arash is out of I shouldn't be that cold on the camera to them. Nothing wrong with Roma fans.
Yeah.
Our graphic designer's just off camera here, but we follow the same team. I'm a big Juventus fan.
You're a Roma fan too?
I've
Arash?
loved please.
Yeah.
I've loved Juve since I was a little kid. So that's definitely my sport.
When did you get into watching soccer?
Watching, I guess, when I was old enough to know how to stream online, because TV rights have always been kind of iffy with Italian soccer in North America.
Yeah.
So I probably started seriously watching it in like grade 10, grade 11 when I had a computer and I could find the streams.
Right.
But like World Cup, Euro Cups, I mean, from when I was born, they're massive events for us. So.
Yeah, they're pretty huge. I've seen. Well, I haven't sat down and watched a full soccer game, but I've seen how big like those events get filled up.
Oh yeah,
like,
I think it's the number one sport globally in terms of viewership. Well, I know the World Cup is the most watched sporting event in the world.
Yeah,
and the global reach of soccer is just insane.
Yeah,
it's like it's in Europe, like in Italy. I follow Serie A in Italy. It's a religion. It's not a sport. Like, you go to basketball games.
It's a cult, not even a religion.
It's crazy. Like they have they have like ultra fan groups that are quite literally insane. A team will have a bad performance and the fans will block them in the stadium for like 16 hours as a protest for their bad showing. Like it's just another level of crazy fans that you just don't see in North America.
That's insane. It's like going from like fanatic to almost cult.
Oh yeah, it's another
that's
level.
That's
It's definitely too far in a lot of cases. But as a removed North American, I love watching it. The games are usually Saturday, Sunday afternoons. I get together with some good friends of mine and watch the games, and we heckle and do not support Roma. I have a cousin who supports Roma. Frankie, if you're watching this, I hate Roma.
Roma's crossed off the list.
I love Totti, but I can't like Roma.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah.
Okay, cool. Did you guys ever play like any of these sports growing up?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I played football, soccer, basketball, volleyball, all of it.
Yeah, I played soccer. I was kind of short for basketball. So.
Right. Yeah, no, I feel you on that. For basketball, for me, in high school, I would try out. But the thing is, I had really, really long hair. Like, literally, my hair is covering my face like this.
Shots.
So it was just like,
difficult.
Yeah, it was just too difficult. I couldn't give up the hair. And I just like,
why don't you tie your hair back?
See, that I didn't think of that at the time. I was too into the whole, my hair looks really cool. I don't want to mess it up kind of thing. You know, going into high school, you always wanted to keep up a certain kind of image.
You made a sacrifice.
Yeah. So that was my sacrifice. Even though I really like trying out for basketball and like playing, it was just couldn't give up the hair. I would do it now for sure. Like I would. There was one time there was a church league I was in, and we had our team, and it was funny. We went undefeated in being defeated.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was a great time. I think we played like 10 games and we didn't win one. We were just kind of unprepared, but we had a good time, and that's all that matters sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so I guess we're going straight into the topic for today. We have the topic set for this session is what it takes to be a successful franchisee and a franchise, and I guess kind of the benefits of that business model today. And so I guess my first question that I do want to ask is, Jerry, what was this idea that kind of sparked turning Pizza Hotline into a franchise opportunity? And was there a lot of interest when you kind of first started?
Well, this goes back a few years, and franchising was, I wouldn't want to say a relatively new model to the world, but
Yeah.
it had evolved,
Yeah.
and there was it's been proven, and it was proven back then also that the success rate of a franchise model versus an independent was a lot higher. So I looked at the different models in depth, and basically came to realize that as a franchise model, you can withstand more in a very competitive market. And the reason for that is because what you're doing is you're taking all the strengths of a good franchisor, and you're levering the strengths of a good operator, someone as an owner operator. And when you marry those two, it creates for a very strong model. And so I looked at that, and I looked at the success rates, and I looked at some competitive chains, the bigger chains, and the trend was moving away from corporately owned locations. In the 50s, 60s, 70s, there was a lot more corporate owned locations. And a lot of these companies were moving and selling off and flip what they called the term refranchising, take corporate locations and sell it off as a franchise. And I just realized that it makes sense, and it was the right way to go. Now, there's different hybrids of franchising out there: joint venture, partnership. But franchising has and is still the most sophisticated approach in terms of a model that would work. And there's laws around it today, and it's just very sophisticated way to operate.
Right. And I guess just for any of the listeners that are listening in right now, can you explain what a franchise is?
Well, there's different ways to explain it, but basically it's, as a franchisor, I'm allowing a franchisee, the franchisor is my role, that's my title. A franchisee is the partner that we're partnering with in a location. We're allowing them to use our systems, our trademark, our processes. We're teaching them. We're showing them the methodology, the processes to use.
Yeah.
And basically, they're using our brand and our name and our processes, and operating a location.
Mm-hmm. And I guess if I'm coming from a business owner perspective, why would I choose this model over just having just a brick and mortar store and just running it like that?
There's many advantages when you hook up with a good franchise,
Yeah.
or franchisor. It's proven systems, proven technology, proven sales, proven profits, proven. It's endless. And so, a franchisor has gone through what you, as an independent starting up your new bricks and mortar, they've learned, they've gone through the wars.
Yeah.
And now you're coming in and you're saying, okay, show me the right way to do this so that I don't have to go through those wars. And so the path is laid. It's much easier. And as I said, the success rate of franchise systems, especially in the food business, the success rate is extremely high as opposed to independents starting up.
Right. Okay. So I guess, Antonio, do you know how many actual franchisees that Pizza Hotline has altogether?
Yeah, so we have 24 franchisees
Mhm.
for 24 locations. So
Right.
one thing in our model, we insist and we only really look for owner operators,
Okay.
which is different from just an owner, different from just an operator. An operator is somebody who operates your store. You can have an operator in a corporate model. So Starbucks is a corporate model. They have operators. They have people that will run their stores but are paid a salary or paid some sort of compensation by Starbucks. An owner in a franchise model is typically somebody who has the money to build the location but doesn't actually work in the location. So they find themselves an operator, and then they come to people like us and say, okay, this is what we have. We want to open a store. We look for the one person who does both, who has the capital to actually open the store, but and I think we'd both agree, much more importantly than the capital is the right type of person to run the store. And my dad mentioned before, finding the right franchisee, pairing that with the right franchisor. We are really insistent on making sure that our owners are working in their kitchens, are working in their restaurants, are talking to their staff, and are innovating. And I think we mentioned this a couple podcasts ago now, but that passion, that innovation, that excellence, we want our franchisees to be the ambassadors of that in their locations. It's not enough to just have enough cash to build the store. You have to be able to actually run it the way the brand values run it, in accordance with our brand values, and enjoy what you're doing. So
yeah, so it's very. I feel like just hearing from that, to be, I guess, in the way that we have it in our model is to kind of be more heavily involved in certain things and being part of that ownership and running the store, right?
Well, most successful franchise models make it mandatory that you are an owner operator.
Yeah.
And we believe in that too. It just creates for a much more stronger unit.
Mm-hmm.
And as an owner or a franchisee of that store, they benefit.
Right.
We as the franchisor are satisfied, and we benefit because we know that they're protecting our brand, they're growing our brand, they're respecting other franchisees, great operators. Remember, like, I look at my role and our job as a franchisor to protect everyone who's made an investment. So if we have 24 franchisees, there's 24 individuals who have put money on the table, who are working hard every day, earning a living, working hard, trying to get ahead. And my job as the franchisor is to ensure that I protect them and ensure that everyone is following the right systems, following the right methods as per our standards, so that we can all benefit together.
Yeah, because there's a certain standard that has to be met.
Absolutely.
Across the board.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I guess I do want to ask, if you know offhand, do you know who is the longest standing kind of franchisee that you have right now? Who has
franchisee?
Yeah.
I think it would probably be between Murray or
Oksana.
Is Oksana longer than Murray now?
Oh
Well,
my goodness!
always
We've got a few really long.
We have we have a lot of franchisees that are 15-year plus in the business. I think our oldest would be 20.
Yeah, I think
25 years.
Right. Okay, 25
this year.
Years, yeah.
I think it's Murray.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Murray, if it's you, let us know. Or Oksana, if it's you instead, let us know.
Yeah, if you're listening.
What about when did Tony? And
They
Tina
would be
come?
23 years, I think.
23.
Yeah, but we've got that, and that's not. That's something that you should also be looking for as somebody who might be buying into a franchise.
Yeah.
That's something that's a really good sign of success. It's not a very good sign, or it can be a very bad sign rather, of the health of a franchise model if they don't have franchisees that have been in for like longer than 2, 3, 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Because if the money's changing hands that fast, if the stores are changing hands that fast, if ownership is changing hands that fast, there's a reason why. There's a lack of sustainability in that model that is being shown by the fact that people only stay in for 2 years and then want to get out. So that's something that we're really proud of, is the fact that our first franchisees are still in the chain and they're still having success and they're still able to, have a good quality of life off of this model, because it shows that the model works. This isn't a flash. This isn't, again, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. This is 25 years later. This model is still giving a good quality of life to that franchisee.
Right. Because if I'm looking to buy into like a franchise, I'd want to see that there was, a proven kind of track record along the way.
Absolutely.
And that's what the franchise model fundamentally gives a prospective franchisee. It's what my dad said before, but it's we've been through the trenches here. We have a model that has worked. And now you can take that model and you can have the quality of life that you want using that model.
Yeah.
But a lot of franchising, even today, even with regulations and laws and new rules, is still a little bit cloak and dagger. So there's still a lot of hype. You see this every couple of years. There's a new food brand that comes out and it's going to change the world, and then it disappears because there wasn't sustainability to the model. So for me, if I was a franchisee making an investment in a franchise model of some sort, I would want to be looking for serious investment horizons here. I would want to make sure that this business was robust, that this business had been around. But it's no different than somebody who invests in the stock market. Do you invest in Coca-Cola, or do you invest in this new energy drink that's been out for a couple weeks that is going to topple Coke? There's been a lot of those new energy drinks. Coca-Cola still sticks around. Yeah. So what's your appetite as an investor? What are you looking for in a business?
Right.
So yeah, that would be my advice, but not necessarily what other people subscribe to.
I've been doing this a while, and if I had to do this all over again, and start something new tomorrow, I would look for a franchise. I wouldn't start from scratch.
Right.
Because I've done this. I've been there. I've done it.
Yeah.
And I would look for a franchise that has a proven track record. You can talk to them. You can speak with them. They're growing. And say, okay, I want in, and show up, get the training, operate your store, and know that a lot of the other parts of the business is taken care of.
Yeah.
And that's what a good franchise can do for you.
Yeah.
And proven track record is the probably most important thing to look for. A proven track record.
Right.
No pie in the sky, because there's a lot of junk out there.
Yeah.
And you have to be very careful.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of franchises, even in the food business, that they claim to charge you less in terms of royalty or fees. You have to be very careful, because it costs a lot of money to sustain a good franchise model. And if the franchisor is not generating enough funds to give you the operational support, advertising support required, it's going to fizzle out.
Right. So
you proven track record, long-term, critical. Make sure that that's in place.
Right.
And when it's too good to be true, watch out.
Yeah.
That one's probably not going to be around in 5 years.
Yeah, because there's so many that just come and go.
Yeah.
And
it's like mushrooms, just kind of.
And they get attention too.
They get attention.
The industry is
I don't get it.
designed to really overhype those brands. I think
Right.
there's a lot of, if it's restaurants, if it's gyms, are a very fast growing franchise sector today. Everybody wants to find the next, McDonald's or the next whatever, right? So they put a lot of these otherwise shaky brands on pedestals because they're a good enough story. And a lot of people make purchasing decisions based off the stories that they hear. There's definitely a way to fake the hype, I guess, in franchising, and a lot of brands take that approach. Because at the end of the day, a lot of brands are kind of taking the fake it till they make it, right?
Yeah.
So because of what he just said, it's expensive to have operation support and marketing support and negotiate supply chains and have vetted construction plans and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what do? You find one thing that can make you interesting enough to get the next franchisee in, and you just keep trying to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow so that tomorrow you can go back and fix that problem. But a lot of these brands never take that step back and go fix the foundational problems, and then the foundational problems just get bigger.
Right. And so I guess let's say if you're a franchisor looking into going into this franchise market, you got to make sure that your base foundation is solid.
Absolutely.
In order before you even think about expanding.
Well,
Exactly.
a lot of them don't.
Yeah.
A lot of them, take the other approach. Let's just grow and then we'll fill in the blanks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it. I understand where they're coming from because they may not be able to afford the support.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't bode well for the franchisee
Yeah.
because they will not have the support needed to fight a war. And sometimes that happens in business.
Right.
Things change. Nothing is constant.
Yeah.
The market changes, competition changes, tastes change. So again, I go back to your best, Warren Buffett said it right, I think. Your best success in predicting the future is by looking at the past.
Mm-hmm.
Not promises, the past.
The past. Yeah.
That's your best chances of being successful in the future. And look for a company that has a proven track record of the past. There's a higher probability that going forward, you'll be in good standing.
Yeah. Definitely.
I would strongly, if there's one thing to remember, it's that.
It's that.
When looking at franchise models.
For sure.
Or any business, any model, but it holds true to franchising.
Okay, so if I'm a business owner and I'm looking to move my model of my business into the franchise realm, how do I know when I can make that switch, or when should I make that switch?
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with, the industry, first of all, you're in. It's not that simple. There's not really a simple answer here.
Yeah.
It's going to depend on the industry you're in. Have you gone through enough trials and cycles that weather storm, or is it a cyclical type of a market you're in, and you've rolled the wave up, but you haven't seen the wave down, because you need to be in business long enough. You need to have enough geographic coverage. Basically, what I'm trying to say is it needs to be well tested.
Yeah.
And until you have thoroughly tested and have enough locations through that testing period, you're not ready to franchise.
Right. And do you think franchising, is it mainly towards like restaurants and stuff like that, or is it different?
No, there's tons. I think there's massive franchises in cleaning companies, in gyms. We mentioned before, gyms are one of the fastest growing franchising segments. The concept of franchising can apply to anything.
Mm-hmm.
But again, is it a good idea or not a good idea? I think it comes back to one, what he said is the model tested. Is this actually a good model?
Yeah.
And two, are you actually a good franchisor?
Right.
And do you feel that you know what's best for this industry, for a team of people whose lives are going to rely on your decisions?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you can sustain that?
Yeah.
I think too often people get into franchising because, if I franchise, I can open 1,000 stores and I'll be worth so much money. Those people don't really succeed because they get presented with the very harsh reality that when you're the boss, you have to be the boss. When you're the franchisor of 24 franchisees or of 2,400 franchisees, you have a group of people that have put their life's trust in you and in your ability to steer them through this industry and have success. It's no different than when people invest their money with an investment manager of some sort. You're fundamentally making a choice that this person knows better than me, and I'm going to abdicate my control of the situation and put my trust in them. So if as a person you don't feel that you're the best person to do that, you shouldn't be a franchisor.
Right.
You should probably go join a franchise yourself and go add value in that capacity. And if your model's not strong, if your model hasn't been through good times and bad, I'm not saying don't franchise, but you might find out that your model doesn't work when those bad times hit, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to make money when everything's going well. But when adversity hits, and adversity might hit your business, adversity might hit the town or the city that your business is in, it might hit a country, there might be another global recession. When that stuff hits, how does your concept do? A franchisable model is one to us that survives good times and bad. Some people, I'm not saying wait until the next recession and then franchise after, but think about it. Simulate how your brand, how your company would survive adversity. And if it holds up well and you morally and ethically believe that your company is a viable option, then franchise.
Right. And it's just really, I feel like coming from a person who might be going into this whole model, it's like you got to really ask yourself those questions and to get clear, definable answers to that. And just having that intuition even yourself and really looking at like your model and saying like, will this stand the test of time?
And not to mention there's huge costs
Yeah.
to setting up a franchise model.
Right.
Legal alone is six figures. So are you ready?
Yeah.
Do you have the financial capacity to franchise? Because what happens with franchising is actually you're giving up profit as a franchisor, owning them corporately to moving to the franchise model. You're giving up a lot of profit
Yeah.
in order to start a franchise concept. It's very, very capital intensive up front.
Yeah, and that's a really good point actually that I don't think a lot of people think about. Because if you have a successful small brand and you've opened 3, 4, 5 stores and you're corporately running them, so you have managers on a salary at every location answering to you, you're making all of the net profits of all 5 locations, let's say.
Yeah.
But as soon as you franchise, you make
you're getting
a couple percent of gross profit now instead.
You're taking a big haircut.
Right? So now you're obligated to provide supports and systems to 5 franchisees with a fraction of the money you otherwise had in your pocket.
Right.
So again, if you're going to franchise, you need to really make sure your model is strong and your model is setting trends in that industry and that you can just financially support the costs that come from making that switch over. Right? So you can see, for example, you can look up relatively easily what typical industries profitabilities will be in franchising. So you can look up, what the typical return on investment of a Pizza Hut and a Domino's and a Papa John's might be. Right. And you can hold yourself to that standard and say, okay, my restaurants right now, are they doing better than this? If they're not, well, why would anybody buy my brand? Why wouldn't they just go buy Pizza Hut? Right? Yeah. And you have to really hold yourself objectively to the standard of the rest of the industry. If it works, if your numbers come back positively, great. Now you've got something worth growing. If you don't, 1, you might not be able to fiscally afford it. And 2, you probably won't last that long. Right. So again, you got to just take a whole look at what you're looking to do. Yeah. But I think a lot of people, again, they get into the growth trap. So they have their first store and it's good enough for them to open a second store. And then those 2 give them enough profits to open a third store. And they're so focused on getting that next store and scaling and growing that they never take a step back and go, is this actually what's best? And is this going to work out long-term for me? And I think that's why you see so many restaurants that just
go up and down, roller coaster kind of thing.
They wave, exactly.
Right. True. Okay, so I guess like all encompassing. So let's say I'm ready to move on, ready to move into this whole realm of it. What if and I'm looking for franchisees now, and so I have my model in place. I'm looking to get into this market. What is something that you guys have looked for in people that you feel like would be really good potential fits and have kind of qualities that you see for a successful franchisee?
I'd say it's the passion, innovation, excellence again.
Honesty.
You got to be able to trust them. Yeah, the honesty.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, remember what you're signing up for in a franchise. We have a brand. We have recipes. We have processes and policies and procedures and a store design and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we're looking for someone that we can trust to hand all of that over to and have it work as if we were in the store without ever being in that store. So, and then above that, we offer our supports, but you need to really trust that person. You need to really understand that person, and you need to really see that that person can do what they're saying that they can do before you make that engagement.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say I find those qualities in that person. You find a potential candidate. What is, if me as a franchisor now, what is kind of my process that I would take them through to get them into being a franchisee and stuff like that?
Everyone has a different way of doing business.
Yeah.
So that the answer to that differs for different
It's
chains.
kind of a variable.
It's a variable.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be dependent on the industry you're in, the type of business.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not one easy answer to that.
Right. Okay.
Truthfully.
Mm-hmm.
In our business, in the food, we have our way.
Mm-hmm.
We focus a lot on the person. So there's, you get them to fill applications and forms, but at the end of the day, you're dealing with a human. So that's all great, and that's all got to be there. Mm-hmm. There needs to be the finances in place. That's great, but now you need to get to know that person.
Yeah.
Franchising is like a marriage.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It's it takes time to get to know the person. Then you make the commitment. Then you consummate the marriage. Just like you sign off a franchise agreement. Divorces are ugly.
I can imagine.
Right? And the same holds true in franchising. And so you want to make sure that you do your due diligence before you step into that relationship.
Yeah. Because it really is a partnership.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a marriage.
Yeah. We try to ask as many tough questions out the gate. And understanding that questions only go so far. So that's like, we do the background assessments, and we have the preliminary applications and the funding and all of that. And we have a series of interviews where we try to understand who you are as a person. But then for us, it all comes down to the training. Mm-hmm. We have a very long training program that's really designed to, on the franchisee side, really empower you to understand the ins and outs of your stores. And on our side, empower ourselves to understand that we're making the right call with this person. Mm-hmm. Running a store, I think we joked about this in a previous podcast, but everybody says, they work in the restaurant industry. If you're in pizza, you're in war. Mm-hmm. If you're in war, you need really good soldiers in your army and really good generals and really good staff at all levels, right? A franchisee is like a general. So you can't put someone in charge of troops if they don't know how to command troops. Our training program teaches you how to do that and how to feel comfortable and confident in doing that, and also gives everybody an opportunity to look and see if maybe this isn't for me, right? We've had people that come in and after a couple weeks in, they go, you know what, this is harder than I thought it was going to be, and I don't want to do it. And no harm, no foul. At least we find out now before you actually, you take your savings and you buy a store and you have staff relying on you and you're in the brand and et cetera, right? And I think it's also important to say we're talking about one side of franchising and one opinion of franchising. But, for the people who are listening to this and might be making a decision about buying into a prospective franchise, every franchisor is going to have a different philosophy on franchising. Every company is going to have a different approach. And I think it's important to say there are a lot of franchisors that don't have your back. There are a lot of models out there that aren't viewing this as a long-term marriage and that are all too happy to get that divorce with you because they can spin an extra couple bucks out of it. So as the person applying to join a franchise, you have to ask a lot of hard questions. You have to really have confidence that they have your best interests in mind. And sometimes the biggest grossing model is not the one that you should join. So, Tim Hortons makes a lot of cash. Today might not be a model that I as a franchisee would want to buy into because I disagree with some of their franchise relationship practices. Other brands like Subway might not be the best brands to buy into today. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I'm not knocking Tim's or Subway specifically. Right. McDonald's might not be the best brand for you The point is you need to find what is going to make you happy and you fulfilled for the duration of your career, not for the next year, 2 years, 5 years. And we also look at you the same way. Can we work day in and day out with you forever? If we don't think the answer to that is yes, we're not going to proceed with you. And we're going to tell you exactly why, and we're going to part as friends, but we just believe it's better to have that understanding now than to get into a bad marriage, so to speak.
Yeah, you got to see if the shoe fits, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess driving this conversation to say, if, let's say I'm a franchisee of Pizza Hotline, I guess what kind of support and what kind of services do I get if I were to be a franchisee as part of this family? Yeah.
Well, first there's when you first come in, there's initial training, where we take you through that, and then if you successfully complete the training, then we allow you then to move to the next level, which is purchase an existing location, or let's look at a new location. And once you're there, we give you, if required, further training. We do purchasing, we set up the channels, we do recipes, we do marketing, we have a call center, we do so much. Then there's the operational side of it, the support. We're in your stores, meeting and making sure that standards are being upheld and maintained, and from time to time, and we're there for you if you need us.
Right.
Yeah, most of the time, if you ask a franchisor that question, the answer you're going to get back is full suite complimentary training, quarterly to semi-annually store visits, personal store visits, and the best brand and systems and policies and procedures available anywhere in the world for X. That's kind of the standard pitch you'll get. We do all of that as well, but I think where we're different and what we really pride ourselves on as franchisors is the level of insight and the level of involvement that we have. So for example, marketing. When you're opening your store, we will do a full marketing plan with you, and we'll teach, and in your training, you'll also be taught how do you make marketing plans? How do you look at customer success and return rates and profitability, and what is the best thing to market through? What's the best channel, etc. So we'll make that plan with you, and then we'll continuously make those plans with you in any increment you want. So if you can handle a year's plan and execute, we'll make a year's plan with you. If you can handle a month's plan, we'll make a month's plan with you. If you need a weekly marketing plan, we'll work weekly, we'll work daily with you as the franchisee. Our contact center is a massive differentiator that not a lot of brands, never mind food brands, have. So through our contact center, your store doesn't have to answer the phone to take orders, doesn't have to answer the phone to take complaints. You don't have to do your own callback campaigns. We handle your social media. We handle your phone in. We're a constant operations resource. So power goes out at your location. Oh no, what do I do? You call the call center, and the call center talks to the franchisees around you and sends you what you need, or lets you send them staff, take care of, I'm short a delivery driver. What do I do? They didn't show up for work today. In a lot of franchise models, well, that's it. Your service is bad. You're going to lose so many customers, and good luck.
Yeah.
In our model, you call us, we can reach out to other franchisees for you, and they can send you those drivers. If you're out of cheese, they can send you that cheese. So you have a network of support there that you really don't find anywhere else. And again, it all comes back to and starts from the operations. So you're getting a negotiated supply chain, and the power of that is massive. Like if you have to buy your own pizza boxes at a regular wholesaler or liquidator or whatever in the city, you might be paying 10, 12, 15 times more per box than you're getting if you're buying and using a Pizza Hotline pizza box. Our cheese, we've talked about it before, is a custom recipe made for us. that we get at a discount because of the amount that we purchase. Our equipment is like that. The rest of our toppings are like that. So the ability to have supply chain efficiencies that get directly passed down to you is another huge one. And then knowing that you have somebody else who's worrying about innovating your menus, coming up with, new items or new promos or new deals or new technologies to put in your stores or finding new efficiencies. That's something that if you're in your own business, you have to worry about. And if you're in a lot of franchises, you still end up having to worry about. Most franchises say, we'll train you. It'll take 2 weeks. We'll give you, a launch campaign, and then we'll come visit you twice a year. And in those visits, we want to make sure that you're following our rules. And if you're not following our rules, we're going to shut you down. We're going to take your store. We're going to sell it to someone else. That really ends up being transactionally how a franchise model works in a lot of brands. In our brand, again, we're thinking of that 25-year horizon. We're viewing you like Murray at the beginning of his career. We want you to only come into the relationship if we know that 25 years later you can still be working with us. And we handle on our side all of the other logistics and supply chain and marketing and operations support and contact centers so that you can do what you do best, make sure that customers have an unbelievable experience. And that can continue forever, right? So again, I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there, I think, but it's important that listeners or viewers really understand that what we're talking about is not franchising. That's franchising in Pizza Hotline. Franchising in Pizza Hotline might sound great to you, might sound bad to you. Every company's going to have their own approach. And the most important thing you can do as a franchisee is figure out what that approach is and if it reconciles with you.
Truthfully, I really believe that what we do for our franchisees, because I've looked at a lot of other chains out there, our service levels are and what we offer in terms of support and all around, if I had to rate it out of 100, I'd put us at 95, only because I never say 100 for anything. And the next best thing I would say out there is probably about a 70 or an 80. And that represents 95% of the chains out there. Yeah. We really go farther than the average bear. We really do. And that's how we've ran this business for 25, 30 years. We care, and we want to know that we're doing our best to help our franchisees succeed.
Right, because you want to be able to build up a really good community of franchises.
I always I've always said I want to be able to sleep at night. Yeah. I want to be able to rest my head at night, know that we've done the best that we can for us and for our partners, our franchise partners, and our customers, of course. It's all the same. It's all one and the same.
And it's shout out to Craig, because I was just working at my desk, and he was contacting one of these one of the franchisees, I believe, and just hearing the genuineness and his concern for one of these franchisees and one of the owners, it really put a reassurance to me, seeing that hey, these people really care about your business. And I feel like that's a big thing, starting from at the top and trickling down into the rest of the franchisees, is that you build that genuine care and you let it be known that, hey, I'm going to take care of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so it's really going beyond just surface level of the relationship and really getting that mindset that, hey, this is your family.
Yeah, it is. We call this the Pizza Hotline family for a reason.
Yeah.
Because we treat everyone like real family.
Yeah.
And you're open, you're honest. Sometimes you're honest and it hurts.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing.
Yeah. Because you need that.
You need that. Everyone needs that from time to time.
Of course.
There's a good Italian saying, if you love someone, sometimes you make them cry. Right?
Yeah.
People that always make you happy, they're not really telling you the truth all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're not telling you what's best for you all the time.
Right. True. Do you have any more of those Italian sayings
I got a lot
pertaining to business?
Oh my God.
You don't know what you're getting.
Don't open it up.
Open up the can of worms now,
Oh my
guys.
God, we've got a lot. Yeah. But I got to tell you, when I grew up, my grandmother used to throw these at me all the time. And so I grew up hearing it, and now my mom does the same thing. And boy, I tell you, They're bang on.
Mm-hmm.
They're never wrong.
I say I welcome them and like just throw them in anytime you
my
feel like you gotta
God.
say like
Yeah.
one of these things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ask my grandma.
Oh,
when you see her.
she knows them all.
Every Sunday she comes over, and every
Yeah.
Sunday there's like 5 more.
Yeah,
But she calls them lentico.
antique.
but she-
Okay.
Antique in Italian, it's like
wives' tale.
wise tales.
Oh.
Older generation
Yeah.
used to say this.
But they
Mhm.
refer to it, the direct translation, if you ask any old Italian that's familiar with what I just said, ask them who Antico is. They think it's an actual old man that said this at some point.
Mhm.
It's really funny. Like it
But
doesn't
they'll-
translate as wives' tales.
no,
Yeah.
It translates as that wife said this at some point, but we
Mhm.
don't know who she was.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
but I'll
get,
tell you, they're never wrong.
They're always
Never
spot
wrong.
on. Yeah.
They're spot on.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's honestly, I would love to hear more of them. And
Yeah.
we should. I feel like it's a good idea. Maybe one time get like your grandma, your
get my
wife.
grandma.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
just have them feature and
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there'd be a lot of laughs for sure.
it'd
That's
be
not a bad idea.
A wild conversation.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So I would definitely welcome that.
You
We
can
do
ask
that.
her what she thought when I went into business.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, we did a People of Pizza hotline with her a
Mhm.
little while ago, and she talks a little bit about that
Yeah.
and what her advice would be to people. And yeah, she's funny.
All right, so we've got all this information of what it takes to be a good franchise and what to look for in people like potential franchisees, and just really looking at the history and track record of being able to succeed in that kind of market. I just want to ask actually, why do you think Pizza Holland has kind of standed the test of time, being able to be in business for how many years? Like 30 plus, you would say?
35-ish years.
35-ish
Yeah.
years. Yeah. So like what was one thing that you learned that was very critical to running this?
Well, truthfully, there's not one thing, but if I
Yeah.
had to put my finger on one thing, it's just continual improvement.
Yeah.
Continual change.
Mhm.
And sometimes we make mistakes and sometimes we don't. And we've made more good moves than less moves. And
Mhm.
that's why we've been able to grow and do so well.
Mhm.
But it's just continual striving. We are striving to be better tomorrow than we were ever before,
Mhm.
and it's just this constant, and I really believe that that's the one. If I had to give one reason, that's what it would be.
Yeah, definitely. Because I feel like a lot of success comes from really making those mistakes and learning from it.
You have to.
Yeah.
If you're not prepared to make a mistake, you will never improve.
Yeah.
And you have to accept that and accept mistakes and take them as learning opportunities to be better.
Mhm.
And that's, again, another sign of a good franchise, time tested. It's because they've gone through those cycles and made those mistakes,
Mhm.
and they're still standing on their feet. And actually, they're stronger today than they were yesterday and than they were the day before, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because I know, Antonio, like you've kind of voiced this to me, is that trying to always aim for trying to make everything perfect every single time. Like there's a point where there's diminished returns, and that if you're always stuck on just trying to be perfect every single time, you're gonna be paralyzed.
Well, you got to decide what you want,
Yeah.
right? Like for us, we want to be around forever.
Yeah.
We want this company to last. We want it to be sustainable, which means that you have to balance being at the forefront of things, but also not losing your identity and losing what you're different, what makes you different. So some companies do one thing extremely well. They build a niche in that one thing, and they run the risk of over time becoming redundant to a new thing that's better than them.
Right.
Other companies try to be everything new, and they waste a lot of time because they're almost playing like a stock game, or where let's invest in 15 companies, one of them works out. Let's invest in 15 ideas and one will work out. That will be the idea that carries us the next 10 years, and we'll do it again. We are in food. We're in pizza. We've been in pizza for 35 years in Manitoba, which is a tough market. We've identified and developed our own, identity, but in our identity, there is that continuous evolution, that continuous striving to be more better suited to your customers, striving to have, if it's more accessible customer ordering or better feedback loops or a better negotiated supply chain or whatever it may be. And yeah, to your point, in that pursuit, you can fixate and over fixate on things and then get lost in the minutia of it before it ever actually translates to value.
Yeah.
Or you can go in with that vision and execute on that vision. So that's why I say you need to really understand who you are and be true to your company. Mm-hmm. If your organization's vision is to continuously improve customer experience, then there's a lot of trial and error, but you need to make an assessment as to when you've done good, right? If your vision is to do this one thing, make widget X better than anyone else in the world, do it. And you can get to that level of perfection without, kind of having that diminished return. But you need to know what you want to do, and you need to come in and you need to act in accordance with what that shared vision is.
Exactly. Yeah. And I guess just as a closing thing here, if I was interested in the Pizza Hotline franchise, are there resources available online anywhere? Is there anyone I can go to, anyone I can call? What's my next step going in finding more information on that?
Yeah, the best thing for us is visit us online. We have a dedicated franchising website, phfranchise.ca. On there, you can see some more information about some of the differentiators, the supports. You can see some videos. There's a video of my dad talking about our history in a little bit more specific detail. There's franchisee testimonials. Those are fantastic. Those should be, if you're looking at a company and they don't have franchisee testimonials, something's really wrong with that model. And after that, I would say if it's something that you want more information on, fill out that form. We start you on the process and you speak to us. We're very open. We're very transparent. Our goal is, again, will this work for 25 years? We much prefer to take the approach of being open and honest and parting as friends now than trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes and get another franchise open that in 2 years we have to close. So if you're curious, if you're looking, Google is your best friend for general franchise information. You can actually find some really good stuff just by searching it. And if you're curious about us, phfranchise.ca, fill out the form if you have a phone number or an email address, and you'll speak to me or him or probably both of us, and we take it from wherever you want it to start. So if you have really foundational questions, we answer. If you have specific questions, we answer. And we'll go from there.
Right. Yeah. Guys, Antonio and Jerry, I feel like I want to own a franchise. Honestly, feel empowered. And Jerry, let's keep in touch.
Let's do that.
Antonio, let's talk. But definitely, that about wraps up everything for today's podcast episode. If there's anyone who would like to get in touch or to inquire about Pizza Hotline's franchise opportunity, definitely, like Antonio said, go to the website, fill out the form, email us, contact us, and I'm sure that someone will give you a shout. I hope this was very informational for everyone that is listening in right now. If you are even thinking about taking your business model and bringing it into the franchise model even, I hope there is some points that you were able to take from this, some value points and some information that was very key to you, even as an audience member, because sometimes, as life goes on, there's some things that kind of click and you feel like, hey, I kind of want to do something else for my life. And I feel like this podcast episode does help give you information and to take the right steps to get there. So it was very informational to me, and I'm sure everyone else that will be listening to. Who knows, maybe you're listening right now. Maybe you could be the next franchise owner here at Pizza Hotline family.
And if we didn't ask or if we didn't answer any questions that anybody else has, just, I guess, comment or reach out to us, email us, social media, reach out to us there. We'll answer your questions. Again, we'd love to hear from people, see what they have to think.
Send it over, guys. We would definitely welcome that kind of feedback, because any kind of feedback like that and any questions that we have, there will be something that we may not have touched on. So
absolutely,
it's very important.
It's a learning moment for us too.
Definitely. So I'm looking forward to the next one, and I'm looking forward to talking about more topics. I think the next episode we're going to be talking about technology and pizza.
Oh, wow.
So that one should be a very interesting
The
one.
New World Order.
New World Order, definitely. Yeah, so that wraps it up for this podcast episode, everyone. Thank you for joining us on the Pizza Hotline podcast. We'll catch you in the next one. See you guys soon.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
That's good.
Awesome.